excuse me, is Germany. She works here in Spain, and she's a co-founder of two digital agencies. One is specializing in SEO, Improove Search, and the other one is specializing in SEO, that is Convertix. Both are growing very quickly with international clients. We are working in different projects around the globe, and that's what we are going to present us.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Can you hear me well? Yes. Seems to be a very interesting topic now. Everyone's gone. Anyway, I'm going to do it in English. If you have any questions in Spanish, you can ask me as well. Okay, so we operate in the Spanish market. We got this moment of joining. Try to make it sexy as well. So can you hear me over there? Yeah, all good. Anyway, so the topic is actually how to achieve a positive ROI in international projects, especially when you're expanding or if you're already expanded and you need to apply certain practices. So we do it quite practical based on some experience in 30+ markets in 27 languages. Okay? So, who are we? We are actually the first European online marketing consultancy founded by people from Google Search Quality. It's a team from the Some numbers, we are roughly, we are running 230 clients currently, roughly 280 projects, it's ongoing. We are based in Vienna, Madrid and New York. I should have probably done this presentation in Spanish because I believe no one is here listening to English, that's why everyone's gone. But let's keep on. Some of the clients. So we do work actually across all verticals, across all markets. We're not specialized in something specific, just e-commerce or just travel. So because we believe that our skills that we acquire are actually transferable to different markets, languages and also platforms. So I think some of the clients actually sitting here. Probably some of the biggest projects we're doing is Red Bull in 60 countries, 27 languages. But we do have also some others like Havaiana, 7 languages, 30 markets and so on. So I think what we're going to be talking about scalability international project is based on our experience. It's not some theory from the book. So scalability, the $1 million question, right? I think we all face this question as soon as we have more than one market, or more than one website, or more than one service. So basically, what is scalability itself? Well, the definition tells us that actually scalability is to be able to handle to grow amount of work, and the business model itself has to be constructed that way that it has potential for economic growth within the company. So essentially, in simple words, what I'm saying is if you build a computer and there's a user that's going to buy a computer for 500 euros, you should give him options to become the system scalable, so he doesn't need to buy another one. And the same in economic terms. So what we try to say in digital terms is when you build your initial strategy, even if you're a startup, you should have a vision over many years so that it can become scalable at some point. So essentially, if it's an e-commerce, you build it in Spain, you know, you should actually think, can I take it to the next 10, 15 countries or languages? And if I do so, do I need to multiply my team by the same amount of people? Or can I create actually a process, a system where numbers, if they triple, it doesn't need to triple in the amount of people or in the amount of hours, etc. So why do we talk about scalability? And I think there's 3 main points that I would like to highlight actually. Why? Now, first one, everyone wants to be #1 in Google. By the way, we never promise it to anyone, and some of the clients are sitting here smiling. We never will give you position 1 as a guarantee. We want to be there, sure, but we can't guarantee it. But everyone wants to be there. Now, why? Because of the speed. No? And a lot of times I feel like I'm the guy on the left-hand side, that sure, I can go there, but I can't overtake that Ferrari. So basically scalability a lot of times is actually to get that speed, because if you don't get speed, you don't get ROI. You don't get a positive return, right? You can implement the same things, but if it takes you for ages, that car, like over there, you will never rotate. And number 3, ROI. And I think you can talk about ROAS or ROI, it's the same, just calculated differently. So I think those 3 things, right? #1 in Google, speed, but also you want to have return, sounds easy. So what we did here You will hear 5 points of 5 areas right now. So it's kind of, let's call it best practice. And number 1, we define a strategy and an action plan. Pretty much what most guys out there do, but we do it slightly different. So the first point is analyze every target market. Sure, everyone can do it, and I believe most of people do it well. Number 2 is define USPs. So remember the 2 cars. If you're the car on the left-hand side and you don't have a USP, because in that sense all car is not a USP, it's difficult to get the scalability, and I will mention it in a second. Point 3, take into account ranking factors. Okay. Point 4, define an action plan. So it's like those fishes jumping from one point to another. That's scalability for me, because I have an ecosystem created, a process, and it goes step by step. In my first step, I know that if I get to my result, I know what my 4th or 5th jump will be. Google OKRs. What the heck is that? Basically, most of people work with tasks. Okay, we don't do tasks, we do objective and key results. So we don't even talk with clients about task. What is a task? Cross that wall or do that presentation, but what's my objective here and how do you measure? So that's how we took it from Google. That concept is objective and key result. If a task, in that sense, doesn't contribute to an objective, we don't do it. Or we do it, but we are aware that it doesn't contribute. And last but not least, and that's where it's getting to the topic, SOPs, standard operating procedures. And I just had this conversation today as well. Well, you know, if you're in an international business and each of your markets operates in a different way, it's quite complicated for the business actually to get those that scalability or the benefit of it. So standard operating procedures are also dangerous, because if you automate everything, you lose your quality. So I think what we have to define here is what do you do as SOP and what do you do as a teleoperate. So quality versus scalability. There's going to be quite a lot of text on this slide, but I wanted to give you the benefit of reading it. I will just highlight some things. So actually, you know, if you want to grow your business, the question is, do you automate your processes or do you leverage the value you create? And I think most of people think about scalability, they want to automate processes in order to save costs. Now scalability is not about saving costs. It's actually about leveraging the value you have created. And that's the most complicated thing. So, and then now, processes or automated processes actually are risky, because if you just look at the cost factor, you don't look at the value factor, that's where it goes wrong. And in simple words, leverage simply builds new value on top of old value. Cannibalization is reusing existing resources, right? One guy, he's got 24 hours, let him work as much as he can, maybe that's scalable. No, it's not. So this is actually from it's a real example from a project we worked on in the US many years ago. And to cut the story short, because the story is quite long, those shoes, for many women out here, you would know it, those shoes with a red sole. Now what we figured out back then, that there were more searches for shoes with red sole than for high heels or shoes or black leather shoes. So basically what I'm trying to say here, you have to identify at the beginning of your concept of your strategy, you have to identify what is not scalable. Niche topics, core topics, or your USP content. So this product as an example is not scalable, you need to figure it out. Now all other shoes with high heels, that could be scalable if you multiply it by languages. Also like the practice, that's what could or should be scaled. So the question here is, if you do a keyword research, can you really get the same result with 20 hours that someone else would get with 40 hours? And that's when I talk about SOP, standard operating procedures. If you have certain templates, certain way of how to identify actually the right keywords, you can reduce your time sometimes up to 50%. So we've done those tests actually internally. Define also SEO as scalability versus money pages. Now, if you have a business and you have some properties is money pages, you should not really scale them that much, because it's all about the quality in USPs. So if you scale those parts, people won't find you actually. So we could go on about formats, its type of content, so we could have different templates. But what's also important with scalability, what I told you before, is actually to identify which new contents you can create and which one you should clean up. So in the past there was a wrong scalability about scaling wrong things, and if you bear with me another 10 minutes, at the end you will see a slide of an actual business case where people scaled wrong and what the impact was. So basically, once you identify each single point, you can actually then multiply it by languages. This is just an extract for a project. Technology evolves at a fast pace, high speed, right? And we all want to get faster. So what's important here is to take into account some trends. Nothing new that I will tell you here, mobile trends, but what's happening, what we see with scalability. Most of people, when they define a scalable process, they do it for the entire website. But what we recommend is actually to do it, to define clear and specific action for each device and the channel. Now, sounds easy and sounds what most people tell, but actually how many of us have a different strategy or process for each device? Not many. So the implementation action plan. I don't call it action plan, I call it implementation action plan, because all the best strategies, if not implemented, they won't work. So what we do here, pretty much as most people do as well, it's kind of a process. Starts with establishing local keyword or global keyword strategy. It's doing your market research on all levels. We do workshops, so we involve clients into this. So the strategy is not defined by us, we define it together, because resources are mostly on the client side. So if things are not implementable or not possible, then it doesn't help. And that's how we move on. Now, what I try to say with these slides is, at every single step, you have to identify what's quality and what's scalable. If you don't do it from the beginning, you lose valuable time. A lot of text, I know, but the main message here again is actually you build scalability through process, not resources. So what I would like to highlight here is kind of the second point, you see. If you have a system, actually, you can be scalable. So kind of calculation, if you have 5 people that can manage 10,000 search listings, well, I guess with 10 you can manage 100, because each of them is doing a particular task in a scalable way, and they can get the best value out of the task, not of handling everything. So in terms of whether agencies or client side, of course, you can assign accounts, projects, website languages to a single person and let them do all of it, but they're not going to be very efficient in the process. So what you have to figure out, if a certain person can actually do the same task in a repetitive way, he can control much better what he does, And I think a little bit in the last sentence, it's like Henry Ford back then changed the way his employees build the cars. It's the same for you, that actually you have to define a process that focuses on creating value in the most efficient way. Remember that sentence, you can have any car as long as it's black. So it's kind of here too. If you have everything, if you want everything specialized, individualized, scalability is gone. So certain things we should not play too much with certain colors, but do the right things. Left side, results. And this is just some extras. I will not tell you who the clients are for data protection, but this is real numbers. So just an example, it's one of the clients that operates in more than 30 markets. And what you see here, we compare full data of full year to 13, full year to 16. I know it's a span of 3 years, but we can do a span of a year, of 2 or 3. This is a good example. So what you see here, pretty much in every single market, in this case, we accelerate. So it's not about us being Germans and do it well in Germany, or us having an office in Madrid and having Spanish speakers and do great in Spain. Actually, language doesn't matter, because one part of that success is based on processes, not on languages. So, and I think that's as a summary, you can see what the result across all your markets can be. That's another case study. You see here some others appearing in the US, in Australia. I have lots of other data from Japan and China, but I think it's about the concept and about the point. What you see here is the same story. Now the numbers are much lower, right? But we talk here about millions of visits. So it's not the same as example before, a couple of 100,000 visitors, we talk about millions. And go from 3 million to 9, it's quite a lot in real terms. Last but not least, in terms of results, it's one of the clients, and we just took the data from Spain, so you can get an idea, multiply by many languages what it would be. So you see there, for a period of only like 7 months, So in 7 months of our work, the revenue went up by 800,000 more. So you see here, if at the same period last year, the revenue was 408,000 euros, this year it's 1.4 billion. Now, trust me, it's not about individual part, what we did there, it's a lot of scalability, it's e-commerce, so it's more scalable than maybe some other business models, but that's real numbers. I think the concept itself is actually, you have to understand what's behind. So back in 2009, when the company was created, scalability and processes, maybe being Germans, maybe because we learned our business in US, was very important for us from the beginning. So what you see in those 3 slides before is actually a summary of more than 70 people working on it, more than 300 clients contributing to it, 500 projects, 60 countries, 7 years of work, and approximately 126,000 billable hours. I actually calculated it on purpose, more or less. I might be wrong by 1,000 hours, but not by 20,000. So that's how much work went into getting the process we have nowadays. Last point, and you're done. Be aware of scalability risks. So what I told you before, scalability and processes are important, but when you overscale, you go in the wrong end. So basically, Google can penalize, and many of you, or some of you would have seen it. As a result, you do something great and Google comes along and penalize your website. Well, maybe it's because you didn't understand, or someone along the way didn't understand what's scalable. This is a real case study as well. Actually, not a case study, it's actually a project we still work on. So the client hired us December 2013, 2 years after they got a penalty for overscaling, because what we in the audit figured out, they overscaled. It's kind of like how that page works. Let's make 1 million of them. That text works. Let's a machine define 1,000 versions of the same text. Cool. It worked for 2-3 years, or 4 or 5. And at some point came Panda along. Some of you would know it, and the website was penalized. To cut the story short, overscaling, they lost 75% of the visibility and more or less 70% of the sales. We redefined the strategy and did the scalability the right way. So basically, in 2 years' time, we achieved a growth of 575%. That company now tripled the size. That's just about how, with the same kind of thinking, you can go either way. And I think what's important with scalability, and I think really important, is actually, you know, from SEO perspective, or SEM, I will always talk about money, or processes, or landing pages, or whatever, but actually we should focus on users. So one very important point is, if you're not sure whether your scalability might affect the user experience, think about it twice. What we currently experience, it's better to focus more on the user. So the user intent in scalability is very important. Some key takeaways, just the last couple of slides. Define a strategy and an implementation action map. Take into account global, local strategy. So what I'm trying to say is, I give you an example. We work with Havaianas, for instance, and in UK, people search for animal print flip-flops. Now in Italy or Spain, in France, no one gives a heck about animal print flip-flops. So if I would take the categories that I created and multiply by 6-7 markets, only in one market, I would get the return, okay? So scalability versus money pages, and scalability versus overscaling. So I think there's always two ends of the story. Don't forget the user, play the Google game. If not, go to Yahoo or Bing. You know, if you don't like Google, in the end, and look at the ROI. So I think that's finishing a bit. Let's make scalability great again. And it's not that I like it, but I think it's a great message. Thank you very much.